Hello, everybody. Welcome to Sideline Power here with Ballin with Bill. I have a great special guest today that I realized that probably known for a while. I didn't realize that, but Ryan Hanson from Omaha Bryan, the head football coach. Welcome.
Thanks, Bill. I appreciate being here, man.
Yeah, it's great to have you. Great to see you. First thing I always like to ask my guests is, when you're young, how'd you get involved in athletics? Where you grew up, and who were your heroes?
Sure. Well, I grew up in Yankton, South Dakota. I was a Yankton Buck. John Elway probably would have been my dude. He was probably my guy I looked up to the most growing up, and played ball all the way through, we probably start first, second grade down there playing at Saratoga Park and playing the junior leader flag football stuff. And then I was very fortunate to grow up in a great program in South Dakota and had a good career there at Yankton, and then had an opportunity to play some collegiate ball out of that, but ended up choosing to play some different athletics.
What'd you end up choosing?
Actually went and played soccer.
Did you really?
Yeah, yep. Had an opportunity to play for the United States World Cup soccer team, and
Wow.
unfortunately missed the last cut. But sometimes I catch a little flack. But I played soccer like a football player. But it would,
Well, that's a good way to play it. So,
Yeah,
tell us
so-
about your soccer. I mean, what did you play at South Dakota or Sioux Falls? Or
I did. I ended up playing at Tycho Westmore, which is in Sioux City. Then I
Okay.
ended up that school moved, transferred, went up to Huron, South Dakota, combined with Tycho Huron and Westmore, and
Oh, I
then
remember that,
basically
yeah.
you play. You play what's called a Olympic development program. You play for your state. You try out for your state, and then if you're selected, the best 18-year-olds in each state around the nation play. And then at that point, you go to regionals. So the Midwest Regional was held at Southern Illinois University, home of the Salukis.
Yep, Salukis.
And basically Minnesota, South Dakota, Iowa, just regional. I think there's 12 states. Then from there, if you're selected to that group, you make the super regional that then goes to Florida. So I made that team. Then you represent the Midwest Regional. And there's East, North, South, etc.
Correct.
And then you take those regional teams down to Florida, to the complex back in those days, and you try out for that team. And if you make that, you're on the Men's World Cup development team to play for Team USA.
Did you make that?
I did not make that
Oh
one.
man, that's kind of exciting.
Step up my game, man.
Did you get it? Did you get to do any traveling around the world with that?
Yeah, it
all?
was. Back in those days, soccer was not near as prevalent. It wasn't as it is today, and it's okay. I enjoyed it, and to be honest with you, I enjoyed playing other sports better. But that was the best opportunity I had to make the highest level of something. So
That's cool.
that's what I went after.
That's very neat. I did not know that. That's kind of cool. So now that you graduated college and everything like that, what'd you do from there?
Well, once we finished, and I finished out of school, then I went, got my first job actually at Elk Point Jefferson, and I worked on, actually after my bachelor's, I worked on what was called the Technology Integration Outreach Program, and I did my master's degree as well as being a full-time teacher and coach. And I would hit Vermilion on the way home and hit my night classes on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 6 to 9 p.m. and drive back from Yankton to Elk Point Jefferson and coach boys basketball and teach United States history, civics, and world geography.
You didn't have a very hard schedule, did
Yeah,
you?
I tell you what, I don't regret doing it, but I wouldn't want to do it again.
Man,
But,
that's a lot of preparation for those classes.
Absolutely. So I was able to get my master's that way, and then from that point, we ended up moving into Iowa. So,
Where'd you go to Iowa?
I was in Boyer Valley, which is a small town, Dunlap, Dow City, very close to Denison
Okay.
area.
Okay.
So coached, actually I helped volleyball there, boys varsity basketball, and what else was I was on the baseball staff as well, and then in the winter as well, football as well then. So those, it was first time moving out of the city and going into smaller town, and my wife ended up getting a job in Omaha, and that's what brought us this way. We only stayed there for a year. I was the head baseball coach as well at West Monona in
Were ya?
Iowa that summer.
So baseball's a good sport for you too, then.
Absolutely, I enjoyed playing.
What'd you
it.
play in baseball?
I was up the middle guy, so short, second, center, and pitch.
Oh, could you throw that breaking ball?
I tell you what, I was more of a thrower than a pitcher. I'm not gonna lie, but I was
Pitcher's a little bit of technique to it.
I
isn't it?
was okay, but not enough to call myself a true pitcher.
Right.
So,
Right.
but yeah, it was in fun. I enjoyed it.
Cool. How'd you when you came to Omaha? Your wife got a job. So where'd you first start at Omaha?
I did. I interviewed with Paul Pennington at Omaha Central High School.
Okay.
and I was hired there as assistant varsity girls basketball and the head freshman football coach at Central. And then I was hired to teach at Lewis and Clark Middle.
Okay. What'd you teach at Lewis and Clark?
Started off teaching science.
Oh, wow.
And then I ended up teaching.
So you went from history to science.
Yeah,
So your degree, you can.
Yeah, it was K-8. So anything K-8, I could teach.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Oh, mine was in PE. All they let me do is throw the balls out.
Yeah. So then my master's allowed me to get athletic administration, and that put on the phys ed and anatomy and human growth and physiology, kinesiology, all that stuff. And then obviously being able to be a collegiate level athletic director with that athletic administration. So.
Yeah. No, my master's is in exercise science, so I kind of went more that way.
There you go. Yeah.
Kind of cool. So you coach it now. You're there with Joe, right? McMenamin.
Yep, he was
head football
coach now.
Tell us about that. I mean, because he's had a great career there. Coached a long time at Central as assistant, and then also as a head coach, and did an outstanding job. So tell us what it was like to coach under him and be part of that staff.
I was a head freshman football coach, so we didn't get to practice a lot together. We still ran the system they were run at the varsity level. Right. A lot of Tulsa right, Tulsa left.
You put out some tailbacks, though.
We did. I back high. So that's where we're at. And we actually practiced Conestoga is where we practiced all of our time. So we would travel over there. That's where freshman practice would be held at Conestoga.
Are you serious?
Yeah, we were at Conestoga Elementary.
How far of a drive was that from Central?
We jumped on a bus every day. And we'd go I would say 10 minutes on the bus. So that's not horrible.
I'm thinking of Conestoga. Not far where you were, because he played at Palmyra.
Oh, okay.
And so Conestoga.
No. Conestoga Elementary. Conestoga Elementary.
I'm thinking that's a 45-hour drive down Central.
Downtown Omaha.
I'm saying, boy, you practice, then you got to get all the way back. That's a heck of a bus.
Yeah, we had all kinds of stories there, and I was young. I was in my low 20s, so I was on fire. Bear crawling, cockleburs, dirt, junction boy, you name it. But I tell you what, I was very proud of those kids. They won the state title in 08.
Yeah, they did.
That was the Prater boys and Mayhew and Daniel Holst.
All those kids went Division I, too.
All those guys, they were good talent, and we had a great year. We beat Prep, we beat Millard North in that freshman year. It was good. I had all baseball assistants as my assistant coaches.
Really?
I had Jerry Krieber, Central baseball head coach. I had Scott Hodges, Omaha Burke head baseball coach, and Mike D'Amelia, who was Brian's head baseball coach, and then ended up going down coaching collegiately at Truman State in Missouri. So
is he down there now still?
Yeah, but I don't think he's there anymore.
Oh, he left that. Yeah. Oh, wow. Cool. So you were there at Central, and so what was your next position, next opportunity?
Then I was coaching during that time as well. I was coaching at Lewis and Clark. Once I finished doing that, I was there for 3 years. Then I ended up coaching football, basketball, wrestling, and boys soccer at Lewis and Clark for about 12 years.
Tell us a little bit about that experience, because I mean, you're coaching 4 sports. Can't talk right. 4 sports. When do you get a time to prepare?
Yeah, well, I tell you what, at the middle school level, it was really just about getting the kids going, getting them developed, and then you didn't get near the time that you needed to be able to really get into it. But these guys are young, the kids were young, but the main thing was just developing fundamentals was a big deal. And then, I'm a big sportsmanship culture type of a dude. I always talk about with our guys at Bryan, I talk about the process. The process has got to be good, and the way that we go about it has to matter and be right. So,
well, tell us about that a little bit. That's interesting.
Yeah,
tell us about your.
Just the I'm not an if we win, it's the way we win type of a guy, and it's just that's just the way that I was fortunate enough to play in. We had a huge amount of success in high school, and I attribute a lot of that. Back in the days, Max Hawk was at the end of his career up in Yankton, and it just culture, the culture and the tradition and the expectation that comes with winning programs. I was so fortunate to be part of one.
Right.
So because I talk to the kids about, we talk about small disciplines, and then sometimes they worry about, why does coach get so worried about when practice starts at 1 in the summer or whatever we're doing, and at 12:45 we're not dressed in lines ready to go. What's he get so worked up about? And we spend a lot of time talking about small disciplines,
right.
And when you're in a high school such as Bryan and the tradition and what has happened in the football program there the last 20 years, that's where we're starting and what we're doing.
I remember when I played, of course, we're going back a while, but Brian used to have some horses that, back then, them and Omaha South used to be, Mancuso, Remington.
Yeah.
Brian had the Newell brothers. I mean, they had some
The
horses.
SOBs.
Yes.
So what I've told, but I'm not.
Well, you might want to explain the SOB back so it don't.
The South Omaha boys
Yep.
is what I've been told.
Back in the old stockyard days.
Yeah.
They were
Yeah,
some
that's-
tough suckers. Because I played with a lot of them at UNO too. And
Absolutely.
they were physical and hardworking and disciplined guys.
Yeah, 04 was when I got to Omaha, so I was not able to.
You missed all that.
I
Yeah, the whole thing's changed down there.
only hear the stories.
Yeah.
Of those days.
Yeah, Coach Denny came from there, and all them guys. Yeah, he was there at Omaha Bryan. Had a heck of a wrestling program. They were always the top. I would just tell a story here. So we were always the top of the state. They're wrestling, and they were too. They had the Newells and Brust and all them guys. And we were wrestling one time at Westside, and it was my junior year, and it was a big match. It was duels, and one of our guys in their room put up little fish. You know what fish means? It means you lay on your back and you're
Flopping like a fish.
Yeah, flopping like a fish. So he drew up all their fish, all these little fish in a bowl, and put their names on it. And that's where they met before they came out and wrestled. So they saw that. Man, they come out of that room, they were ready to kill us all. We wanted to kill him afterwards, but I'd never forget that. They still talk about that day. We show up in that room and there's all our names on these fishes.
Yeah.
That was kind of those days back then.
Little motivation, little gas on the fire.
Yeah, they were fired up, boy. That was one time when wrestling was rocking there at the West Side, boy. It was going. But so now you were at Burke though, right, with Coach Lamanji?
Absolutely.
Talk about that because I know you've had a lot of success there at Burke. Coach.
Yeah, it was a great opportunity. I was at Lewis and Clark at that time and was looking to get my own children who were getting old enough where I had the time to commit to varsity football and what that entails. And so I was able to contact and get in touch with him and some other varsity coaches. And when I sat down with Coach Lamanji, he absolutely was what I felt the best fit. He just kind of stood for the things that I believe in that make good culture and good programs. And so we went that direction and had a lot of success. And I was really fortunate to be able to, coach some kids that I had coached in the middle level at Lewis and Clark. And I was able to watch them basically for the next 6 years grow up and go through the culture and play. So we had a huge amount of guys, about 7 or 8 kids. Xavier Watts and we didn't have Nick Henrich was a Davis kid. We had one of the running backs, a couple of our backs, Jalen Russell came up there. We had some receivers, Michael Payne, a whole bunch of kids from Lewis and Clark Middle that went over to Burke and then mixed in with those kids that were already there, and it made for a fun ride.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
it was
what did
awesome.
you coach there for? Because I know you guys were very, very successful. Well, you're still successful. What they did this year after going through, the pandemic and everything, and then not playing last year when everybody else played, it was incredible what them and North did this year in the playoffs and during the season.
Absolutely, it was awesome. I was assistant OC with Coach Calabretto, and then I did running backs and outside linebackers as well.
Wow.
Yeah,
I
so
mean,
it's a good, very good staff, man. I can't say enough good things about them. Very, very high level IQ staff, and when you've coached, I've been coaching a while, and as well as you and your background. I mean, I think the biggest compliment people can say to you as a coach, at least that in my eyes, is you get the most out of what you got.
Yeah.
And that's something that I feel that at Burke they do, and I hope someday people feel the same way about myself.
No, I remember sitting out there. We'd go to clinics and stuff with Coach Lamanji. This is back when I was coaching, and we, coaches always go have a little, what do you want to call it, a little cerveza afterwards, and you sit down and you talk football in the napkins. But we always learn, if we forget how important players are, because it always matters who's had that pins last, who's going to win.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Anytime our O-line coach Schatzberg, with the running backs and we're working run game, I learned quickly that I'm going to have the marker last, or we're not going to have a conversation.
You can win. That's right. You forget, that's when you realize it's not us out there, it's those kids, and
Absolutely.
how well they retain it and how well they can go play.
For sure.
So now you get the job at Bryan. So let's talk about that. That was in 2019, correct, Coach?
Yes.
So tell about that. I mean, you've been assistant here for quite a while, and
Yeah.
coached. I mean, a lot of sports. So you're the first guy I think I've had on that's coached all these different sports, and even on the female side too. So that's an interesting dynamic. So
Sure.
tell me about when you got your first head job.
Yeah, it was a great opportunity. Mr. Ryan Murtaugh was the AD, named AD at Bryan, and I was able to meet him, really get to know him well on the Burke staff. He was coaching inside linebackers as well. He was there, I believe, Nick's freshman year, maybe sophomore as well. Started off there and built a relationship with him, got along real well, on the same wavelength on a lot of things. And he gave me a call August of 19. And,
this is before the season.
Absolutely. So
wow.
The job was taken. I accepted the job on August 9th. And 2 weeks later, we had a game.
Oh my!
At Omaha Bryan. So,
well, tell us about that. I mean, that to me, there's not a whole lot of time to prepare and get a staff. But what'd you do?
It was a challenge, but the main part, as we were talking about earlier, is just everybody talks about culture, and culture is such a subjective word, and it can mean so many things.
Correct.
It's just doing it the right way, man. That at the end of the day, we're gonna show up. We're gonna come to practice every day. We're gonna build it right. And I knew even the winning and all the, that's the end of the process. I was just telling the kids about the other day. You got A to Z. You got 26 letters in the alphabet, and we're at A. So Z's winning. So before we get too worried about that, let's just get the process right. Let's understand what it takes to be a winner. And so that's where we started. That's why I took it at that time. I knew it could be Custer's last stand. I knew it was going to be a rough go. I
never heard that put that way before.
I knew that.
Have you ever been up on that thing? You ever been up on that hill?
No.
I have. No. Why he went up that hill with all it was surrounded blows my mind. I mean, that's what you might as well just say. Hit me with an arrow.
Yeah. I mean, you wanted the high ground.
Yeah. I mean, they had the high ground, and you're going up on horses. I mean, woo! I'm like going, okay. Must have been some good peyote in the, or whatever you call that stuff. Anyway, we're going to take a break and we'll be right back.
Hey, this is Mark with Sideline Power. I'm here today to showcase Sideline Power's new drone to end zone kit, showing you just how easy it is to take your drone from practice to film a game with an end zone tower.
With Sideline Power's new drone to end zone camera, you can quickly and easily transition from the ground to the air in seconds. The smart controller lets you easily pan and tilt the camera as needed and integrates with any sideline replay system. The drone mounting plate is compatible with any standard end zone camera tripod head. You can record up to 4 hours of gameplay without any battery swaps. No more sitting just behind the tripod thanks to the 4 miles of range from the controller to the drone itself. Capture any area of practice or game with the new Sideline Power drone to end zone camera. Visit sidelinepower.com for more information, and as always, stay powered up.
Hey, I'm back here with Coach from Omaha Bryan, Mr. Ryan. Let's carry on where we're at. So you're in there. How'd you put your staff together so quickly?
Well,
were they already there? Or,
no, I retained. I'm trying to think. The first year, I want to say I retained maybe 3 or 4 of the guys that were on the staff, and then I brought in basically 4 of my own guys, and we started building from there. And as you know, it takes 3 to 5 years to get that staff right. So we're still in that process, but that's what we did. We threw it together, and the way I built my staff absolutely was not based off of football knowledge. It was character and integrity, and men that I knew that would be and lead the kids in that right type of a manner. I knew that the growth and the processes would come, but you got to have great people around you. So that was basically how I hired. We've got a lot of learning that we're doing as a staff together. Everybody's at different levels, football IQ wise, but they're all great men. So that was kind of how we built it. And
that's neat. I think those things are all attribute because you can learn football.
Absolutely.
But it's hard to learn character.
Amen.
Yeah. So you get there. How did you? To me, I've been a football coach and an assistant coach. How did you do that? 2 weeks, and you're playing a game. You got to have them ready to go. Who'd you open with? Do you remember that?
It was a tough one. I want to say that first year was South Sioux City.
Oh, they're a good team.
Yeah. So they. It was a good game. That was one of the games. The first year we were actually ahead. We were winning the game. I think we were very close, if not ahead, tied at halftime. But I tell you what, the fourth quarter conditioning bit our butt. So
I mean, how do you get them conditioned to
Well-
Coach? I don't have that miracle either.
I tell you what, I tell the kids I'm not big on excuses. So we certainly could have used running that hill behind the stadium a few more times.
That's a hill. That's a hill. That's a good hill.
But yeah, so I was pleased. I was pleased with the way that we came out. But shoot, it was it was tough that 2-week time. I mean, I didn't know kids' names. We were still learning names. We were, I mean, football's a brotherhood. It's a brotherhood. It's a culture. You're going to war every Friday night with each other, and
Amen.
And if you don't have that trust and relationship built,
Yeah.
and that takes time. So we're there now, but it was a tough go, and but I knew that the beginnings of getting to where we are today, that was necessary to do. It was hard to say goodbye to those Burke seniors.
Well, yeah, especially so late because you probably went through a lot of the
Yeah,
summer
we were
work.
ready. No, I was.
You were through the summer workout and everything.
Yeah, and it was a senior year after we won the state title.
Right, you just won it.
Yeah, we just won it, and we had all those guys back that were the kids I brought over that I had since 7th grade as seniors, and that was tough telling them, that hey, I'm 2 weeks before the season. See ya. But it was an opportunity, it was a professional opportunity I needed to take, and I explained it to the boys, and I think they respected it. But it was tough. I think Bell West got them in the semis that year.
Mm-hmm.
So
You're right.
Yeah,
Because that's your Bell West won it, didn't they?
I believe so.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
Yep. They did. So, what type of offense and defense did you put in so quickly that you could have success with? I mean, because you got 2 weeks to get it installed
Yeah.
and get it ready for a game. So, what do you do?
Absolutely. Well, we ran odd front. We just ran a 3-4 base, mostly too high. Ran nose and vortex, and started off with there. That was but Jimmy's and Joe's, man. It's not X's and O's. It's Jimmy's and Joe's. So, but that's what we did. And then offensively, coming from Burke and working with those guys for the time I did on the offensive side so much. If it ain't broke, you don't fix it. So
Right.
a lot of that stuff we do use. I mean, there's different terminology, and there's some different things and wrinkles that we added that I wanted to do, and so on. But similar style. I mean, we do go under center. We run a little bit more power set sometimes. Some Maryland eye, some different things. But another players win games, man, not plays. So, but that's our system. That's what we do.
Are you still doing the same thing now today?
Yeah, we're
you
similar.
adjusted it all?
Yeah, we'll adapt to the talent that we have. That was something that being a young coach in your 20s and then now being an older guy that has more years under experience, you coach, you better tailor what you do to what you got without rebuilding your whole system. But
Right.
You
Find a way to do it within your
you got to
system.
maximize that talent and build around what you have. And if you got to make a few wrinkles, then so be it. So we'll be similar. We've got some guys that dual threat quarterback that's pretty good that we'll utilize in the run game and run some of our zone reads a little more as he
Get a
grows
little
up.
more. We could do it out of a gun, probably.
Yeah,
We could do that.
Yep. And but these guys this last year were sophomores, and I had recruited them from 8th grade, and they got no freshman year, so they went.
How did that affect you? I mean,
all the
how did
OPS
that
schools.
affect you? I mean, because that's
It was tough. It was tough.
you're looking. You get in. You get your first year under your belt as a head football coach, and then all of a sudden you don't get a play,
And
you don't get a coach. You don't have no weight training with them.
No.
Nothing. I mean, how did you gain contact? I mean, that's a big part. So you don't lose them.
Yeah, it was tough.
I mean, because you don't lose them to South or Bellevue
Absolutely.
or West or
Yeah.
'cause, to another school. Because you're
Yeah.
really in Bellevue when you look at where you are.
Yeah, there was
location.
people that talked about, are you concerned your guys will go to schools that are playing?
Right.
All the OPS schools, are you considered your OPS kids that we're not playing this year? Will they go to the Millards and the Papillions since they are playing? And I don't think many of us lost too many, if any, kids to that. There may be a few, but none of mine.
You did because you're real close to Bellevue.
Yeah,
That's
we
what
didn't.
Bellevue.
We didn't lose any.
That's
of the,
good.
The ones that we needed and the big guys to stay around. So it was, it was good. Our biggest challenge losing that year by far, and everybody in OPS was in the same boat. Was you've got 8th graders that you recruited or showed up in your building as freshmen, and they got no freshman year. And then when you're in a program like we are, and we're building here, that we got to use them. So now they went out this year as sophomores, and
First time playing.
the bright lights are pretty bright when you play
Yeah.
3:30 middle school after school, and now all of a sudden it's Friday night, lights are on, and there's bands, and
Yeah.
you're looking for mom, and it's you. And I talked about experience all year, and the
You got
boys
some veteran
they were
kids
so tired of me talking about experience, but there's no substitute for it. So
No.
that was by far our biggest challenge this year was, good talented group of kids that will be juniors that I feel real good about, but just you just, you walk in. I walked into Grand Island that first year, sideways rain, 33 degrees, not quite freezing, barely 32. Horizontal, 30-mile-an-hour wind, sideways rain,
Yeah.
horrible conditions, and I had probably 9 freshmen out there against Grand Island. In Grand Island, and it was a rough one.
Yeah.
So, but those kids now will be seniors. So you want to talk about experience and being there before? I mean, those guys have been in that, and we've made some big strides. And the weight room obviously is a humongous focal point for us.
What tell me about your program there? Because knowing from the past, I know
Sure.
you're big into weight training and stuff. So
Absolutely.
I mean, what did you do in your year off when you couldn't do it last year, and how did you keep them so they can stay motivated and then build into this year?
Yeah, we obviously at home, and you have to rely on the boys doing stuff on their own, which is difficult.
Right.
But we had workouts and things they would do at home, some virtual stuff, and then as we started to be able to get back into it, we started working into our summer to the winter program, and then we lifted 4 days a week this past winter and summer. We took Fridays off, but otherwise 4 days a week we were grinding, and that is becoming a normal part of this program. Is that's what the norm is. Being at Bryan and then being fortunate to be in the programs I was able to grow up in and coach in. There's a humongous disparity in that portion of what coaches would call culture. I mean, it's expected. It's an expectation at those level teams that are in it and they're winning it and they're finalists.
They're there every year.
Yeah, there's a reason why.
Right.
So just explaining it to the boys and letting the kids and the players see that, hey, and you know better than anybody. I mean, you start seeing those gains in the weight room as a young boy, and
Makes you come back.
start looking and then you get hooked.
Yeah.
And then they get hooked. They see that growth and they see that change in their bodies and that stuff happening, and then it's off at that point. Yeah. So I'd say we're getting close to that point now.
That's good.
Where the kids are really being able to tell that this helps tremendously. So
Awesome. So now, how did you have a good freshman team this year, or how'd that go?
Yeah,
because
we
that's
did.
always important. As you look at, you got kids coming in, they'll be seniors next year. You have that year they didn't play, they'll be juniors, but they got good experience this year. So because the freshman team did get to play this year, how'd that go?
They had a good year. They finished about 500. I think they were 3-3. They started off 2-1, 3-0 maybe. Ran into some tough competition, but once again, I've got really good assistant coaches at that level.
That's
with
important.
Good experience that are setting the culture from 9 to 12 as a seamless culture. I mean that first year when I came in, I'm pretty upfront between the eyes guy, and it was, if we're gonna lose and get beat up, it's gonna be my way. And so we ended up with 26 kids, 9 through 12 left that first year. That's all I had that stayed. 26 kids.
Seriously.
It could have been more, but like I said, we come back after a substantial loss, and we're running, get on the hill, we're conditioning, regardless of the outcome of the game. We're doing, and some kids, I ain't doing that. I mean, so it's
So you weed it out a little bit.
it's tough. Yeah, I mean, this is what it's gonna be. This is the expectation. This is what we're gonna do and how we're gonna build it. And now we ended finishing this year, I think, with about 50 or 60 in the program, and that's 50 or 60 kids that know the way that we're going to approach it, and so I feel good about it. Freshmen had a good year. We got some big kids that haven't touched the weight room, so we have
Retention's a big key.
Lots of
It's starting to retain a little bit, which is important too.
Yep, absolutely.
That's good.
Yeah, we I really try to focus on, like we talked about earlier, those relational pieces. I mean, you guys know, man, those high school football relationships you build with guys are lifelong things.
I know.
They
Still
matter.
remember, yeah.
So trying to do that and instill that in these kids is what we're trying to do,
It probably hadn't been instilled for a while, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's important. It's being instilled now, because I think they've had some years where that camaraderie did not get instilled.
Yeah. The old saying, winning fixes everything. So when it's tough. You talk about some challenges. One, obviously the most challenging job I've ever had, coaching, and you know, when you go out there and you lose 40, 50 point loss and you come back to practice, and holding that together is a challenge. So proud of the kids.
I know it was like a Dan. It's the same thing. We go play Sioux Falls. And
We'll play the Cougars.
we come back and we go. Just the different animals up there we had. But, you know, you come back and you still had to put it together and get ready for another game, you know.
That's right. Absolutely.
And you got to have courage no matter what. I think. And I look back at coaching and playing in my life. It's camaraderie. And if you put it together, you win. You're right. It just takes everybody, but it takes players, but it takes guys working together. And
Yeah.
I enjoy the effort to getting there to win just as much as winning. I know winning's nice, but all the things we did to get there in the off season and all the things we did still were very enjoyable.
The process.
The process.
There's so many things that go into that people that aren't on the inside necessarily don't know. You know, I mean, and that's okay, but that's what makes it special, and that relation stuff special is that you go through all that stuff together. I mean, you're on the bench hitting that last rep, and the guys are surrounding you, and everybody's rooting for you to hit that. You know, all of those moments that happen. Or we go out and we have like a lake house retreat out on a little lake thing on a beach where we're grilling, and the kids are in the just those types. You know, that's what they remember
important
as much as anything.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, yeah. Well, it's important to build a bond. You betcha. Yeah. Well, it's great to have you out here, Coach Hanson. Come out and see us out here at Sideline Power, and it's here to be at our new facility, and it's kind of cool to get you on the air. And God, I wish you a ton of luck as you're building your program there at Bryan.
Well, thanks for having me again. I appreciate it. It was great.
You know, I was a pro wrestler, right?
I do. I had heard some things about it.
That's my man. You ready? You ready? Get that hand out and ask for some money. Not necessarily. Are you ready? On three. 1, 2, 3. Hush! 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 Thank you, Coach Hanson.
Absolutely.